we are indeed privileged to have Martin here, who is the former NDC for Finance in the Northwest Province. And of course, obviously, you know what's going on in finance in the country at the moment. So he's not going to be, I think he got out the right time. And of course, he's been the CEO of the South African Bureau of Standards, etc. We are indeed pleased to have Martin come and share a few thoughts with us. Martin, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon.
It's not the graveyard shift.
It seems to me all this academic debates drain the energy out of you. My brief when I received the invitation was to come and share with you my leadership journey, lessons learned, and also, open myself up to your impartation on how you experience leadership in your own environment. And in framing my input this afternoon, I would like to speak around building the brand in you. You see this, ladies and gentlemen, the consumer market has become very sophisticated nowadays and fiercely competitive. I read an article recently where the author indicated that consumer needs is exposed to, on average, 4,000 to 5,000 advertising messages. I mean, you just need to open up our Google or whatever, and the things flash. Wherever we go, whether we're on the road, we're bombarded with advertising messages. And over the years, powerful brands have been built in specific areas of the marketplace. And these are becoming very, very powerful drivers, even in the economic space. Last year, Apple was rated as the top global brand in the world. And the estimated brand value of Apple was $214 billion US dollars. They were followed by Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and Coca-Cola. Now, what am I saying here is that, in as much as there are powerful brands there, I want to put it to you this afternoon that you yourself, you're a brand. Every day people are observing you. Every day people, as they interact with you, they make certain assumptions and they create certain impressions about you, which will ultimately determine how they're going to relate with you in the future. And Phil Cook puts it so beautifully. He said, in a media-driven culture, perception is just as important as reality. What do people think of when they think of you? Now, building personal brands has become a big issue, especially with social media nowadays. And people normally just put the nice part. You'll think they've been in Hawaii or wherever, and yet they were just, they had their Christmas holiday in Manakato, not in Sun City, on their way to Sun City. But they will bring you background photos with palm trees and all sort of things. And Mario Amorim made the following statement. He said, brands are created by impressions that over time create a picture of who we are in the mind of our audience, no matter who they are. Everything we say, do, wear, drive, these things matter. Our personal brand is not the professional headshot on a blog or social media profile, but the total effect of everything we put out there, and the implications are huge. And allow me in the next few minutes, and I don't want to sound like Elizabeth Taylor to her sixth husband, I won't keep you that long. Allow me to just share my journey in life and how I built my brand. I come from a place called Alabama in Clarksville. Who knows Clarksville? Matlosana, where Philemon Masinga comes from. I was the eldest of 8 siblings, brought up in very impoverished environments, those days, and I'm talking now of 63 years ago. Things were tough those days. Choices were limited. And the choices were basically teacher, policeman sometimes, priest, whatever. But I always had destiny on my mind. Leadership just came so natural to me. Always wanted to be first in class, be a captain of this, a leader in that. And after I dropped out of university, University of Western Cape, not of my own volition, there was some family problem that prevented me from going further with my studies. I actually joined the nursing profession. Can somebody just bring water there, please? I was a nurse for 17 years. I started off as a student nurse. I've learned how to make beds, how to carry bedpans, how to test sputum, and all those sort of things. And I grew up through the ranks there, completed my degree in nursing education, ultimately became a lecturer, later on moved into administration. But I was very active in my community. Thank you. I was a social activist and always looked for opportunities to improve the lot of people around me. During that time, during my nursing profession days, a few important milestones also took place. The one milestone was in Ward 7, night duty, 1979. I was working there with one of my seniors, and we used to work 7 nights on and 7 nights off. And I tell you, the 7 nights that we were off, I realized something happened to me because I'm missing this colleague of mine. Cut a long story short, when 7 nights, when we were on again, I called an urgent meeting of the tender board and put in an unsolicited bid. My first 2 approaches were declined, but I persisted. And yes, ultimately, my tender was accepted. And on the 4th of December 1981, I got married to Elizabeth. We've now been married for 37 years and been blessed by 3 children and 2 grandchildren. In 1993, everybody's preparing for elections. The ruling party approached me by then because of my profile in the community. Cut a long story short, I was elected into the Northwest Provincial Legislature in 1994. And within a week's time, my life turned around. Because we were sworn in the Saturday, and the next week, Wednesday, my then Premier, Popo Molefe, called us all into one room. And after a long-winded speech, politicians, you don't give them space. The National Democratic Revolution and all those. Those days we had a booklet from the ANC ready to govern, but we didn't know what mess we've inherited. But he then read the names of the 10 of the cabinet members that must assist him to take on this new responsibility. Now, I never featured very prominently, in leadership circles. But when he read number 7, he said the finance portfolio will go to Martin Kuskus. Now, I didn't know a debit from a credit. And here I'm called upon to manage 5.8 billion rand. I'm still holding the distinction of being the longest serving MEC of Finance in the country with Jabu Muleketi. Heads were rolling all over the place there in Mpumalanga, everywhere. If it's not this tender nonsense, it's that corruption thing. But go and consult with your friend Google. You will not find a single incident there where I've been involved in all these. What do they call this word? Malfeasance. Malfeasance. Now, if your name appears at the golf club as an honorary member, then you should know your time is over. If you go to Leopard Park Golf Club now, you'll see my name there, Martin Casper, honorary member, and I only played from an 18 handicap. Not that time was this hotshot golfer. And I moved on. My next assignment was at the South African Bureau of Standards. When I arrived there, the place was in a big mess. You know, just 10 days before my arrival, this one gentleman lost his disciplinary case. And as they cleared him, the HR people walked into his supervisor's office. Nobody knew he had a gun with him. Pulled out the gun and shot his supervisor twice and turned the gun on himself. He died before the lady. She died 2 days after that, that little company of Mary Hospital next to the SABS. Now, I arrived there 10 days after this incident, and I tell you, that was my reception. The air was loaded with suspicion. It was a transformation effort that went terribly wrong, that instilled so much fear, so much uncertainty amongst people. And yes, I had to fix the place. And everybody was looking at me, come on MacGyver, turn us on now, you know. And I had to perform stunts there, and, appear to know what I'm doing. And I mean, that's a very, intellectual capital is very high there. When I started off there, 19% of the people had masters and PhD upwards, you know. Very clever people in own name and right. During that time, I turned the place around to such an extent that SAPS was in number 6 in terms of certification bodies in the world. We turned the place around profitably. We repositioned the place so that, you know, it took its rightful stature within society. I was also elected on the ISO Council for that effort. And, you know, I used to fly about 5-6 times a year to Geneva, sitting with all these clever gray-headed guys, Dr. Paolo Scolari from Fiat International and those kind of people. And there were times I didn't speak for an hour in a meeting, just soaking up the wisdom and the atmosphere. Unlike in my political days, where I used to say, "Hey, Comrade Che, you are out of order." You know what? Keep quiet. Listen and soak up the atmosphere. Whilst being on a trip to Nagoya in Japan, I got a call from Trevor Manuel, and he told me that they've checked with the presidency and they need to establish a new board of trustees for the government employee pension fund, and my name has been put forward to chair that board. Arrived back, got my appointment letter, and during my first meeting I discovered, this is much bigger than I thought, because when I entered that place, that portfolio was worth 685 billion rand. It's now worth, 2 trillion rand. That's the last.
4.3.
Sorry?
4.3.
4.3 trillion.
Yeah.
Sure. Now, when I started off there, it was about in the 600s. 27th of April, and significantly so, I was invited by Kofi Annan to the New York Stock Exchange to sign the United Nations Principles on Responsible Investment. Now, I wasn't invited because I'm African. I was invited because we were the 7th biggest pension fund in the world by then. And he just invited the 36 top funds in the world. And it was, you know, this was great. To walk there in Wall Street with my little suitcase. Remember that nurse? Remember that guy? He's now in Wall Street. And every time, you know, when these big American policeman guys want to ask what I say, can we help you? I'm here to see the Secretary General of the United Nations. And the doors will open. And they will escort. 3 weeks and we signed off, and 3 weeks after that, I got a call from Paul Clemens Hunt to join the Global Compact, the division that deals with responsible investment. Massive learning experience because, we've been to places like Zurich, London, Singapore, and just being schooled in international best practices around corporate governance, how the whole investment value chain work, impact investment, those sort of things. It was a great experience, and that helped us greatly to reconfigure the whole GEPF-PIC relationship, and that's why that thing started to fly in a real and meaningful way. The president also pointed me on a few other things. I was for 5 years a part-time commissioner, the Finance and Fiscal Commission. And my 5-year term ultimately ended at SABS. And it was towards the end of 2009. It's 2010. Come on, let's have a self-imposed sabbatical. It's World Cup, got a good bonus, let's buy tickets. And just after the World Cup, I was just idling at home. And I read a book by a guy called Bob Buford, Halftime. Have you read it, Janet?
I haven't heard it, but I heard him speak.
He passed away last year. Yeah. Bob Buford, speaks about one's life being played almost like a game in 2 halves, and very few of us make time during halftime to reflect on how to play the second half of our game. Because the second half can't be played like the first half. And after reflection on this, during that self-imposed 6 months, I realized I'm not going back into the executive space anymore. I'm going to leverage from my learning experiences, networks, and so on, and make a serious attempt in translating my success into significance. Trying to empower others, because I've been given groundbreaking opportunities. How do I impart into the lives of others? Coming back to that space, I started getting involved in directorships. For the last 9 years, I've been director on Netcare. It's my 3rd term now, the Mine Workers Pension Fund, as chairperson there. I'm with Liberty on their corporate umbrella funds. I'm also in another company. Don't look at their share price, it's only at 11 cents, Alice Holdings. It's nothing to do with me. And then I'm a partner in a practice that's involved in leadership development, and that keeps me busy. Now, you might be asking, Martin, why are you telling us all these stories? This guy was lucky, man. And by the way, what I didn't tell you was, whilst I was on this Global Compact thing, they had a debate at the United Nations. It was on the 8th of June 2009. And during the debate, they invited 5 panelists. And I got a call and said, Martin, you must speak on behalf of all the pension funds in the world. This guy in private equity, insurance guys, Allianz was there, and so on. Now, I flew for 18 hours, but I only spoke for 12 minutes, but you can go and check, my friend, I was there. My name is there. I don't sing that song of Sankomota. I'm waiting for my name to be called. I was there. Why am I telling you all these things? In order to build a brand, the DNA of a personal brand revolves around this whole notion of authenticity. You see, it's so sad that when me and you open up the newspapers, we see what's happening in the media, the caliber of leadership that's paraded out there, where trust is being betrayed, people just abandon values, they drift away from commitments that they make, and there's so much manipulation and exploitation, and these things are done by very powerful people in society. And you ask yourself the question, where are the leaders? Authentic leaders. People that can be believed, trusted, admired, and respected. You see, just like in the consumer market where consumers are spoiled for choice, consumers seek a brand that makes them feel appreciated, understood, and worthy to be identified with. And if these boxes can be ticked, brand loyalty becomes an enduring one. And likewise, if we want to move forward in the organizations that we lead, in the areas of our responsibility, we need to be authentic. And what do I mean by authenticity? Authenticity, I read one of the definitions which I like that says, it refers to something of undisputed origin, real and veritable. When something is authentic, it is not at variance between the promises and the performance. There's absolute consistency. Authenticity, as it needs to translate in our work environment, out in our spheres of influence, means that you need to be the real deal out there. You can't be a fake product. You can't be somebody just a cheap copy, or somebody that's just pushing the agenda, or just a proxy for others' agendas. And I would find that out at a very, very expensive price, and we'll talk about it now, that it's also not an easy thing to do. Because, the world thrives on expediency, quick fixes, the ABC of this, the 7 steps to that. And people don't want to just be comfortable in their own skins and live out their lives based on their own unique strengths. Now, how do we maintain this authenticity? Firstly, we've got to develop our character. Now, character is a sum total of the distinct qualities of a person, both good and bad, that reflect who he or she is and what he or she does. You see, character is not a matter of outward impressions, but it is a matter of inner reality. You can fake it for a while, but later on, the cracks are going to show. And to maintain good character, we need to live our lives informed by a set of values. Against all these things, all the decisions we make in life can be validated and calibrated. See, someone once said, if you do not stand for anything, you will fall for everything. And if you don't have a firm set of values, what are the non-negotiables in your life? What are those uncompromising things that if it's no, it's no? It might be a shade of gray, but no. What are the things where we draw boundaries and say, this is who I am, and these boundaries I don't cross? You look at the brand of Virgin. What do they stand for? Virgin says to be genuine, fun, contemporary, and different in everything we do at a reasonable price. If you listen to the brand of Coca-Cola, what do they stand for? To inspire moments of optimism and uplift. The question I want to raise with you this afternoon, what are you standing for? If people hear your name, do they know what you're standing for? Because it's only, you see, in a world of many distractions, how you can stand out. And I'm not here to brag or what, but you've never heard my name. Who ever heard about my name before in this one? You've Googled before you came. Sorry?
Correction, your LinkedIn.
You got me on LinkedIn, okay. I'm a boutique. I'm not a supermarket. I'm not in your face kind of billboard. No, it's only the discerning shopper that knows about it. And when you go to a boutique, don't quibble there about price. The price is the price, isn't it so? It's not, no, I can get it cheaper at markups. It's exclusive. It's the only one in town. And that's what will distinguish you if people know what you're standing for. The second thing how we build this brand is that we need to have clarity of direction. Other people refer to it as vision. Now, a lot has been written about vision, and my simple explanation for it, it's a compelling picture about a preferred future that inspires one and motivates one to move forward in life. Now, I don't say you must just be involved in daydreaming, but you must be able to think beyond the current. Where do I want to be the next 3 years, the next 5 years? Life is not about tata machans, uzamahela, No, you're not just trying your luck. It's about a conscious and deliberate approach towards life. And what are the key considerations in crafting in having clarity of direction? Firstly, you need to ask yourself, what are my innermost motives? Why do I want to do what I want to do? Is it because it's flavor of the month? Because it's popular? Because other people want me to do it? Or is it really what I want to do and being authentic to myself, to my true self in doing these things? Second consideration is, what concrete steps do I need to take to realize my vision? Everybody can have a vision, but it will remain a slogan until such time that you translate it into action. And thirdly, are you prepared to pay the price for making this vision come to fruition? Being in the political arena, being in the corporate environment, where dog eats dog and the rat race, and by the way, the rat race, you can win the race, but you will still remain a rat. Okay? Everybody, it's just, how can I pull the PhD, how can I pull him down, and so on. And making sure, that I need to get to the top at other people's expense. There's a price to be paid for authentic living. I think you're better. Everybody's doing it. Why are you not doing it? The third thing is competence. We need to develop our character to maintain authenticity. We need to make sure that we have clarity of direction, know where we're heading for. But the third is competence. One's capability to perform well in a specific context and having the expertise and ability to get things done. It's so frustrating that you've bought something and they promise you everything the best. There you are somewhere at some promotion at Rancho or whatever, and you arrive home and this thing doesn't work. Do you know that feeling? And therefore, even with yourself, you must be able to have the job done. There are just too many evangelists around, they preach a good game. And they know all the strategies and the ABC to this and all those sort of things. But when you ask them, specific pertinent issues on where they actually delivered on these things, it's a pity I've got to repeat this example, but and they start to cut and paste this thing. They haven't grown at all. You need to become known for something unique and peculiar. Martin leads well. Martin teaches well. Because people development, that is my strength. You see, we are operating in a world with a high degree of specialization. We need to understand the power of a niche. What is it that people, when your name comes up, with what do they associate you? Therefore, you need to hone your skills and master the tools of the trade. Invest in yourself. And I compliment you for investing in the tools of your trade. And yes, Isaac, you let them shoot your proposal down and so on. Do whatever. This is iron sharpening iron. Because you're investing in the tools of your trade. Fourthly, to maintain authenticity, we also need to maintain courage. You know, courage is that strength to persevere in difficult circumstances. How hungry are you for this thing? Sometimes we give up too easily. First knock that we get in life, I can keep you busy till tomorrow morning on the amount of betrayal, where you sit with comrades or business associates, and the losses that I've suffered in life at times, time that has been wasted. But did that stop me from moving on? Not at all. It's just another way of expanding my reservoir of learning experiences. And I always ask myself the question, given a similar set of circumstances, what will I do differently? And it is courage that drives me on to maintain that authenticity. The fifth thing, how to maintain it, is composure. Ladies and gentlemen, behavior matters. We live in an extremely rude society. Perhaps it's nice here in Joburg. But people are very rude nowadays. And uncouth and unmannered at times, They don't mind pushing you out. You know what I'm trying to say? That thing of courtesy is gone, Youngsters, my generation, perhaps I come from the old school. And in order to maintain authenticity, manners, composure is important. Behavior matters. We need to develop our EQ so that whenever we are on a scene, we create a positive mood there. Our presence there is like almost the anchor in a turbulent storm. In marketing circles, they call it brand essence. Those intangible emotions you want customers to feel. Are you known to be respectful, punctual, a good listener, fun to engage with, fair, deliver on time as promised? These are the brand intangibles that people are looking for all the time. And our brand is greatly shaped by the kind of behavior and attitudes when we manifest towards our audience. You see, personal branding has initially been premised on this notion that one has to build an identity on this X factor to make people to have that wow effect. There are, however, inherent risks if we are in pursuit of always being seen, heard, and acknowledged. It can lead to a situation where you operate in the realm of an ecosystem as opposed to an ecosystem. Life is about interdependency. I missed your point early on. You had such an academic word for it. Is it cooperation or something like that? Cooperative. That's what life is all about. And too many of us conduct our lives in an ecosystem as opposed to an ecosystem where we take a cooperative relationship with others. Now, I want to declare up front, I'm a Liverpool fan. But, not because they are topping the league, okay. Since the days of Ian Rush and those kind of guys, it's a generational thing. I mean, those days it was just Man United and Liverpool. Now, the former Arsenal and England captain Tony Adams puts it so aptly. Play for the name on the front of the shirt, and they will remember the name on the back of the shirt. You heard me? Play for the name on the front of the shirt, and people will remember the name on the back of the shirt. We are in this game for a higher purpose. We're not on an ego trip here. We're here to serve a higher purpose. And therefore, the brand that we project there should be a real one, not a fake one, an authentic one. not a cheap copy. One where there's a healthy appreciation of your own innate strengths, and you will not embark on a crusade to promote other people's agenda, but in pursuit of your own vision. I want to end with this statement. Catherine Caputa said, if you don't brand yourself, other people will, and I can guarantee you that they won't brand you in the way that you want to be branded. And the key, therefore, is to live in relational integrity, being authentic, being the real deal, and not become just one of the crowd, but standing out, so that one day, Prof, if your name is mentioned, what will people associate with the name Chris Gaffney?
The Lord.
The Lord. You are the brand. Learn it, live it, and lead it. I hope if I haven't convinced you, that I've at least confused you.